First question I have for you is how and where did you find wrestling, and in what way would you say it's impacted your life?
Hmm. Well, I initially founded wrestling. My family, they've always been sort of big in wrestling in Tennessee, and so my uncles, I had two of my uncles win state, and one had gotten third. My cousin, one of my cousins won state at Walker Valley. So being in that I guess, has always been a part of me. I actually didn't find it until probably I started out actually third grade. I was at the Boys and Girls Club of Cleveland when they had a wrestling team. Tried it out and didn't go so well. I wrestled and pretty much got beat up, and so I ended up quitting, letting it go,
Hmm.
and I found myself going back, circling back around towards middle school, seventh grade, and I actually went out for the basketball team. I've always loved basketball, and I went out for the basketball team, got cut, horrible at it at the time. And so I was like, well, I'm just gonna go back, take a stab at wrestling. And
Hmm.
really it just sort of just stuck on me after that. I was all right. But I think just just working through it and just feeling like I was getting somewhat better. And at the same time, I think I was starting to pick it up pretty quickly. And at the time I really didn't even know about, all the stuff like my uncles had done, like accolades and stuff
Hmm.
like that. So I had really no clue. And so yeah, I mean, I think after seventh grade, I wrestled, did good, and then it just sort of stuck on me. And I just really just kept wrestling and really hadn't stopped.
So you'd say it was real tunnel vision after that seventh grade year when you made
Yeah.
the turn back to it.
Yeah. After that, like I said, I've done some other sports too. Like I said, I even through high school, I was running track too, and I was
Hmm.
actually thinking about trying to run when I went to college. I wanted to run track and wrestle, but I ended up getting a scholarship in wrestling in college. But so I've always sort of been around just different sports,
Right.
but mainly it's been wrestling, and I've sort of done that, just through the course of my, middle school, high school, college, even now. So.
Hmm. Would you say that out of all the sports you have done, wrestling, even from the start, had the biggest impact?
Oh yeah, most definitely. I think, and that's something that I really try to emphasize with even with a lot of the people that I train now is that I never won state in high school.
Hmm.
Um, but it's one of those where I think the things that get built inside of you, I think is more important than like any titles, anything that you'll get, from external validation. But yeah, I mean, I think just being persistent, having that grit, resilience, being resourceful,
Hmm.
being really being creative, knowing that, learning to love to be uncomfortable at times.
Hmm.
I think wrestling has helped me out tremendously, running my creative business and knowing that, I've got those good and bad days, and knowing that having the mindset, having the motivation, and the discipline to get up and keep going day after day, all that stuff, even now, all the things that I'm doing now, I bring it back to wrestling, and the things that, my coaches, my teammates, even competing, all that stuff, um, you know, translated into what I'm doing now.
Well, no, and you mentioned the mental impact that it has as opposed to the external with all the accolades and everything like that. And it brings up a point that almost sounds like a broken record at this point, but it's a good record in the aspect that you can tie back the work ethic you learn from wrestling, the mentality, the drive, everything that can translate over to business, to personal life, family life. And like you mentioned, just getting up and continuing to put forth effort every day and knowing that you're not always going to win every day. I think wrestling, especially at a young age, instills that, and it instills that it's okay to go through adversity. And if anything, there's always a lesson, really, instead of a loss.
Oh yeah. And that's something that I think now I'm really starting to learn the lessons now as opposed to when I was younger. But there's no, you know, losses. I mean, it's just
Mhm.
lessons, and that's all it is. You know, it's one of those where I'll tell people that me losing the finals to now my one of my best friends losing the finals my senior year, that was literally the best thing that could have happened to me.
Mhm.
Just being able to, and not to say I mean it hurt. I mean, I would have loved it, but being able to have that fire and will to sort of come into college and just go after it. And even then, there's things that getting to college and actually graduating and everything else. There were still some things that I sort of left on the table even then, and that sort of fueled the fire to sort of keep me going. So
Mhm.
I think personally for me, I'm always on a sort of a journey of trying to figure out, as far as like just keeping that fire, keeping passionate about life, and really just trying to express and just be the best version I can be. And to for me, it's using wrestling as a platform, using it as a to help connect with others, using it in my own personal life, my business, in my career, and at the same time too helping others along the way. I use wrestling as that, and all the challenges, all the losses that I took. I try to help out others, because, like I said, I don't want them to be in that in that position to where they didn't have anyone, or be in that position where they didn't have a mentor or a coach that they
Right.
can go back and talk to. I want to be that person. And at the same time too, even competing now and still competing, having that fuel and having those things that maybe I didn't get in my younger life. I'm shooting for it now, and I want to be a inspiration to others and let people know, hey, look, it doesn't matter where you're at in your stage of life. Use the sport, use wrestling for the thing that pretty much invested most of your life in. Use it as a platform for something. Don't just leave it
Mhm.
and let it go once your career is done. There's so many things that you can do, and I'm figuring out ways, and I'm trying to help others figure out ways to use that platform for various things.
Well, I think wrestling really lays the groundwork for a lot of things. Like you mentioned, you don't want to take what you learned from and just leave it after you take your shoes off, for the last time. And I think it all kind of goes back to the lessons you learn both from winning and from losing. Kenny Monday, one of the most accomplished wrestlers of all time, one of the greatest influencers for wrestling, said a lot of people speak on the fact that you learn a lot from your losses. And he said that is true. But for him personally, he learned so much from his wins because it showed him how far he could go. And in a sport like wrestling, it's really unique because if you're on one day, you're on.
Mhm.
It's like, say, the national tournament. If you're on for that weekend, you can make crazy things happen. And I think that just goes back to always being dialed in and putting forth effort each day. Because no matter what happens the day before, you brush yourself off, and the sun's going to come back up tomorrow, and you try again the next day, and you never know what happens the next day.
Yeah.
But you always got to look into it with no matter what happens. I'm going to put forth 100% effort and try and be an influence for myself and for everybody else.
Oh yeah, that's great. I mean, I think that literally the biggest thing, even heck, I mean, even I just competing at the U.S. Open not too long ago and winning that, there was a lot of things that I dialed in mentally, but after that, if after winning it, it was like I mean, it was awesome, but it also I sort of asked this question for myself. It's like, wow, like what else could I really do? Like if
Mm-hmm.
I'm doing this now, like what else could I really go after if I focused on it? And that's the story that we always need to sort of ask ourselves. Is like, what are we leaving on the table? Like what could we actually do if we're really dialed in, if we're really going after it? And I think everybody has that opportunity to do that, if they choose so. Sometimes we can be our own worst enemy. I know that was the case for me in college. There was people that I should have been beaten. There was All-Americans I should have been beaten that I would lose 1 or 2 points to, or lose it close. I'm probably, and I had one of my old coaches, college coaches, send me a message, and he was saying that I look better now than when I did in college, and I was like, yeah, I mean, it's like college, I was probably in more shape, but mentally and just being confident, I am probably 100% more confident in my abilities now as opposed to when I was younger. And I think that's something that even for the younger wrestlers, like being able to create that, have that confidence, have that mindset, knowing that, hey, don't worry about you being perfect. Don't worry about that.
Mm.
The goal is wrestling. It is that I tell people this is the most imperfect sport because you can literally do everything right. You can train right, nutrition, do your prayers, everything. You do everything right and still lose. So it's one of those to where it is one of the most imperfect sports. Are you willing to go after it anyway? And I think that's the thing. I think sometimes we feel like we have to chase after this or we want this. Well, what if you do everything right and you still don't get it? Are you still willing to go after it? And that is the thing. So that's something that I think all wrestlers sort of have that. They have that drive, they have that tenacity. Um, but like I said, could you still go after it? Even with the odds of you actually getting it, it may be slim. Could you still chase after it? And I think and I think the process of that, of you transforming into something capable of going after that championship, capable of going after the thing you want, that's the prize into itself. That's it. If you get it, that's awesome. But and even if you don't get it, that's all right too. What did you become in that process? What did you have to transform into to become that person in order to go after that opportunity? That is something that you keep forever.
No, yeah, that mental preparation and that just drive to keep going, no matter the obstacles that are in the way. One prime example, well, technically two, and it's funny that popped up in my head because it's actually his birthday today. But Dave Schultz, he won one national title. He got pinned the year before. He came back, won a title, then won Olympic gold, and did so much more for the sport. And he did so much off the mat, as an influence.
Mhm.
And that was really, I think, a prime example, or one of the prime examples of how wrestling can mold a person, because he lived by that sport. He lived, breathed it, everything. But he let what wrestling taught him and the morals it taught him to influence other people and just impact someone else. And I remember seeing a clip. He told Kerry Collab, um, after Kerry Collab took second at the Nationals, um, Collab was talking. He takes his plaque and he throws it in the corner, and it lands in a trash can. And he's just mentally beating himself up because he got second in the national tournament. And Dave Schultz walks up, picks the plaque out of the trash, and says, you know, he's like, Collab, I won one national title. He's like, this stuff here doesn't matter. He's like, I know you don't want it now, but you're gonna want this someday, so take it back and just learn from it and keep going, pretty much. And then Collab went on to win more national titles later on through his collegiate career and do much more past that. So it just shows how I think the pressure and the adversity the sport brings can be so intense, which is why it's such a unique sport. And especially in college, where high school, yes, the adversity is high, but in college, man, especially a lot, it seems like every day you're fighting to keep that scholarship, keep that starting spot, because everyone is looking to get better, looking to improve and prove themselves and make their way to the top. That the pressure is just real heavy. And I think, well, that's why wrestling in college is such a feat, because of all things that go along with it besides getting your name on a t-shirt or on a roster for a collegiate team.
Oh yeah. Yeah, it is a mental grind. I tell a lot of some of the guys that I help train at a junior college out here, Palomar College, and they was some of them was asking me what the difference was between Division I and junior college, and it was just like the intensity level was amped up every day. I mean, it's one of those where that pressure is on you every day. Especially if you're on scholarship, your varsity, you got someone else new coming in.
Mm-hmm.
So you got someone, stalking you. And then at the same time, you're trying to get better as a wrestler. That doesn't even include any of the, actual school stuff,
Right.
being a student athlete. It's one of those where it can be a very high pressure situation. I think now looking back at it, probably one of the biggest things that I wish I would have told myself was just to be in gratitude. I know it sort of sucked because you're in that high intensity, high pressure, but at the same time too, I wish I should have said, "Hey, look, be in gratitude for this moment." You don't get people don't get those kind of chances. The percentage of someone wrestling Division I wrestling that is a very very small margin. So having the opportunity to compete and be on varsity and do everything else, I mean that's awesome. Um, and I think in that hindsight, I wish I would have instilled probably more gratitude and say, what, I get to do this. I get to train, I get to compete. Um, those are things that even now I'm telling myself even more now because the older you get, you're wrestling and competing, those injuries start to pop up, and just being in gratitude. I'm very fortunate that I'm still in really good shape, and
Right.
I still go in and compete with college kids and wrestle with them all the time, and but I tell myself too, I'm always in gratitude. I tell myself thank you for having that opportunity, because I could easily be out of shape, overweight, everything hurts. But I'm in the opportunity to be able to compete and help out MMA fighters, help out college kids, um, help out high school kids whenever I do camps. So it's been awesome.
Well, no, you mentioned the gratitude, and that's a very good point because I think the sport also teaches you a lot of appreciation, whether that be for your practice partners, for your coaches, for the influence of your life, for food, whatever it is. Um, just your level of being humble and your level of just appreciating the small things. And it also just makes life a little bit easier, a step of the way. If whether that be in the business world, or if you're at the office, it's late and you don't feel like finishing that extra paperwork, but wrestling kind of clicks in. It's like, hey, do that extra sprint, which is in disguise that extra paperwork. Keep putting in 120% for yourself and for other people.
Yeah, yeah, it's definitely a lot of correlation to wrestling and literally all aspects, everything that I'm doing right now. Between trying to running a business, I've got multiple little brands that I run. Aside from Langford Design, which is my main company, I have Just Heart Apparel, which is a clothing lifestyle brand, and I got the podcast, the Creative Brew. So and I've got other things too that I work on, but it's just one of those where I'm I'm my own boss. I have to get up. If I don't get up, it's one of those where I've got projects that I work on daily. I've got
Mhm.
deadlines that I need to meet. I've got client calls. I've got fires that I need to put out. And that's just part of it. And at the same time too, I get up in the morning and I go work out. I do my prayer, I do my meditation, I do my journaling. I do all that stuff. I make sure I'm getting in my training. I do that because it allows me, even wrestling now, it allows me to be able to process and understand, I've literally been trained to be, comfortable in uncomfortable situations. Especially being an entrepreneur, you will be uncomfortable
Right.
almost every other day. And if you can learn to be comfortable in that and be fine with it, you will make it. There's a lot of people that, they say they want to do things, or, they want to start this, but when you get into an uncomfortable situation, or when, things are everything is on you and you got that pressure, you see a lot of people fold. And I think for wrestlers, we've been used to learning to deal with all that pressure and all that intensity, and be able to process it and be able to respond accordingly. And that's I'm saying, if I didn't wrestle, I don't honestly, I don't even know if I would even be, running a business or doing everything else that I'm doing now. Even doing volunteer work. I just started art scholarship. All those things are a testament to just the fortitude and just the persistence, creativity that wrestling has given me.
Well, and wrestling opens up a lot of doors, and whether that be through the actual sport, or like we've talked about, the fortitude and the drive and the motivation that goes to it. And I think it's also the motivation to always do something big, go after the hard challenges, and really look to do things that have great benefit for yourself or other people. I think wrestling really um, brings that home on that, because you mentioned staying cool under pressure, especially in a match where it's imperative. And I think you'll remember this: the 2002 NCAA tournament, Rob Rowan versus Josh Lambert in that 184-pound final.
Yep, I remember that one.
Mm-hmm. Rowan's down by 10 points, hits the signature cement mixer, and I mean, takes victory out of the jaws of defeat with that one. And that was an example, I think, of staying cool and collected, and knowing how to properly respond in that situation.
Yeah, I felt so bad for Josh, because that was my training partner before he got there to Oklahoma. He was there at
That is
UTC, and
right.
it won a conference title. We was training practice partners, and it's pretty cool. Like I said, both of us had made it to the NCAA's that year, and yeah, he got into the finals, and yeah, I thought for sure. I know I've been tilted by him a lot of times when we was wrestling. So I was like, I knew when he got on top, it was gonna be a wrap, and yeah, wow. I was like, I remember that like it was yesterday. And a dude came out there, hit that cement mixer. I was like, oh no. So I felt so bad for Josh, but um, yeah, it's just one of those, like, you just never know.
Mm-hmm.
All you need is one opportunity. That's it.
No, that's what makes it, like we mentioned, a crazy sport. But all in all, kind of summing it all together, um, what would you say has been like what does truly wrestling mean to you, and all in all, how has it impacted what you do today?
Yeah, great question. I think wrestling has. I think I define wrestling as it's so many things I could define it as, and I'm trying to put it into the right words. But I think just being able to confidently walk through fire
Mm-hmm.
every day. I think that's probably one of the more simpler terms that I could give wrestling is being able to get up, put your pants on, and whatever happens, being resilient enough to walk through that confidently and respond to whatever life throws at you. And I think just having that sort of quiet, resolve and strength under pressure. Um, I think that's what I define wrestling as. And I think a lot of wrestlers have it. Um, I find myself, figuring out ways of, I know I'm always in, positions to where I have to do that. But I think any wrestler, anybody that's in this sport, they've had to walk through that fire in one form one form or another, in all kinds of situations. Can you walk through it, as confidently um, as possible and respond to it? And so I think that's how I would define wrestling. It's so many little things that I would I would create as a definition for wrestling, because that's been my whole you know uh, thing for what all the things that I'm doing right now. But yeah, that's probably the biggest thing. Is just being able to get up and you know see what life throws at you and know that you can go through it. I think that's how I would define wrestling.
I think it's a great definition there of just being able to take whatever life throws at you and keep going and keep pushing the pace and just really getting through the adversity and making a change no matter what the end result is. I think that's a really good way to nail it down.
Yeah. Yep.
Well, thank you for joining me. It's been awesome to get to talk to you about wrestling, the impact it has, and every all the opportunities it's created for you down the line. And hope competing goes well. And best of luck with all your businesses and coaching at I know the Compound Gym down there in California and um, the junior college as well. Hope all that goes well.
Oh yeah, appreciate it. Thank you. Yeah. And if anybody wants to reach out to me for anything, like I said, best way is on Instagram at Quantal Langford. But if you need any kind of, as far as anybody that's interested in design, marketing, branding for their team organization, you can check out langforddesign.com. But other than that, yeah, you can always check, if you're out here on the West Coast, you'll probably see me at, the Oceanside working out with the MMA fighters, or at Palomar College, working out with the college kids. And me, I'm just, like I said, just getting better. I'm using wrestling to, it's the I sort of see it as the, way of the wrestler. There's just a definition of life, and how we need to go after it, how we need to proceed with life, and that is what I'm trying to express every day.
Well, you're doing a great job at it and leading an inspiration for everyone and all of that. And like I said, thank you for joining me and best of luck with everything going forward.
Hey, thank you for having me on this podcast, Mason. I appreciate it.
Hey, no problem. Appreciate it.
All right, thank you.